Today we're going to talk about section 3.6, estimating with fractions. So we've done estimating with decimals, and now we're going to estimate with fractions. And I hope that you guys remember how useful it was to estimate to see if your answer was accurate or not. Now, I think estimating with decimals is maybe just a little more helpful than estimating with fractions, but still the same thing. So here are our benchmarks. So how do you determine where to estimate your fraction? So round to the zero if the numerator is much smaller than the denominator. Okay, so a couple things that we need to remember, that the numerator is the top number and the denominator is the bottom number. So you might want to write this on here.
We can't really see that side.
Okay, the numerator is the top, the denominator is the bottom. So they're saying if the numerator is so much smaller than the denominator, so maybe like an example I could have would be like 1/10. That's an example of where the numerator is way smaller than the denominator. Okay, so then it says round to the 1/2 if the numerator, oh goodness, gotta pause this. Okay, so we are going to round to the half if the numerator is about half of the denominator, okay? And they say about half, so it's obviously up to your discretion. So maybe I would have 6/11 would be a good example, or 4/9. Well, 5/10 is exactly half, right? So I was just trying to give some examples that were like questionable, you know? So I'm trying to think of like 7/13. Like those are all examples where it's about half of the denominator. And then they say round to the 1 if the numerator is nearly equal to the denominator. So for example, we could have like 9/10 or 7/8, or in this case, like 3/4. You know, it's closer. That one is hard because 3/4 is exactly even, but I would just round it up. So now we're just going to do a couple examples. It says one of the largest wheels of cheese ever made, it should be weighed about 1,250 and 1/50 pounds. Estimate how much more this wheel of cheese weighed than the average 6-pound wheel. So the only thing that we need to estimate is this 1/50. So would that go to 0, half, or 1? What do you guys think?
0.
0. Yeah. So basically, we're going to estimate this one to just 12/50. And we want to know how much more is it than the 6 pounds? Well, we're just going to do some subtraction. Okay, I'm going to subtract 6 from it. Obviously, I have to borrow from the 5. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4, 2, 1. So you would say about, anytime I estimate, I kind of use the word about, 1,244 pounds more. Okay, the other thing about estimation that we have to remember is that I might estimate differently than you, and you might estimate differently than your friend. Okay, it's about estimation. You just want to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so we are going to do some estimating. And remember, we are just rounding to the 0, to the whole, or to the half. So everything is going to be in halves and wholes and zeros. So the first thing here, it says 4/7. So what would we round 4/7 to? Would we round it to 0, half, or 1? What do you guys think? Half? It's about half, right? Because 3.57 would be half. So this would go to a half. And then what about 13/16? Do you think it's closer to the denominator or closer to half? What's half of 16? 8. Maybe closer to the 1. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of tricky. So what's 1 1/2 minus 1? Negative a half, yep. Okay. The next one, the whole numbers stay, so it's gonna be 3. So is it gonna be just 3? Is it gonna be, actually, could it be 3? It could be 4, or it could be 3.5. So is 3/8 close to the far away from the denominator, close to half, or close to the whole? Half. So 3.5 plus 3, and then would it go up, down, or middle? I would say go down to 3. So 3.5 plus 3 would be 6.5. Okay, so before I write this one down, 7/8. So 7 is one of, actually, this is one of my examples. The numerator is close to the denominator, they're close together. So I would round that one up to the whole. So the 5 would go up to a 6. Then we have a negative 2/5. So what do we think about the 2/5? Do you think, what's half of 5? 2.5. Do you think it's pretty close to a half? I would say so. And remember, estimation should be quick. We shouldn't spend too much time like toiling over what to round it to. So 6 plus 1/2, or negative 1/2, it actually has to go down. So you subtract 1/2 from it. So you get 5.5. Okay, so now we're going to estimate products or quotients. And I think it's best to take these to the nearest whole number. I'm going to pause. When you guys are estimating products or quotients, that's when multiplying or dividing, we're going to round to the nearest whole number. Because, like I said before, doesn't make it any easier if you're still keeping it in a fraction when you multiply and divide. That's the same reason why we did with decimals, is that we went to the compatible number. Okay, so now basically you ask yourself, is 2 further away from 7 or closer to 7? Further, so this one would be just a 4. And then is 9 closer to 10 or further away from 10? Closer, so that one would become a 7. So then 4 times 7 is 28. So then when you would actually multiply these, you would get a number close to 28. Okay, and that's the multiplying and dividing, I think, is probably the most useful. Okay, so then 11 and 3/4. So you think 3 is closer to 4 or further away from 4? Closer. So that one's going to go up to 12. And then is 1 further away from 5 or closer to 5? Further away, so that's going to stay at a 2. So what's 12 divided by 2? 6. So just remember that when we are rounding and adding and subtracting, you go to the nearest half. So either 0, you stay at the number, you go up to the half, or you go to the next whole. And then when you do products or quotients, so this is multiply or divide, you go to the nearest whole number. You're trying to make this easy for yourself, okay?